Sorry, my back. My spine. I'm broken.
We're all broken.
We're getting old.
On the inside and the outside.
Alphanumeric! Why'd you do it? You're prepared for a giant monster made entirely of nulls stomping around mainframe? How do you plan for that? Lucky guess?
I don't know what part that is, because I don't give a fuck about trains. There's whipped cream where we're going, boys.
An icosahedron.
Icosahedron every day.
Sometimes twice a day.
Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Alphanumeric, the foremost ReBoot podcast. This is episode 51, and I am one of your hosts, NeoCal.
And I'm Lady Glitch.
And I may or may not be the artist formerly known as Christopher.
I like it. I like it. It's an arc. It's a weird arc. People will make fun of it for decades to come, but damn it, you'll stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You will live on in infamy.
Yeah, I just got to get to work on what the symbol that represents my name.
You don't have your own symbol?
Forward. Not yet, no.
It should be the metal text, like a C, but like on an icon.
So when you say that, you basically mean the Iron Maiden font? Because
Yes.
that's like the generic, like, anytime like you see like generic like metal font, it's always like just the Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden font, and either like a C or an S on like a black and what would yours be? Black and gold? Like a black and gold icon.
Or like Matrix green and black.
Yeah, green and black. I like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, green and black. Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of silver on the outline.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, don't get you're just getting crazy now.
I didn't even break out the glitter yet, so
You know what else is crazy? This episode. It's pretty crazy.
Little bit.
This is our last episode. How about that?
Oh, this makes me sad.
Last episode of ReBoot. This is not the last episode of the podcast, though, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
No. More to come.
And what episode of Alphanumeric is this?
Of Alphanumeric, this is episode 51, but we are going over season 4, episode 8, Crouching Binome Hidden Virus.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Its air date was November 30th, 2001. And as my producer has just informed me, this was the first... this aired after Canada got its like movie chunks of ReBoot.
Yep.
Right.
So Canada got the resolution of the second arc before us and peons down in the States did.
Oh no, the resolution.
Yeah. Giant fucking air quotes right there.
So many loose ends wrapped up in this last episode. I didn't know that, but now I understand why people... Okay, so out the gate, I was like, I'm really enjoying season 4. I don't know why everyone's pretending it doesn't exist. Like, I think it's all right. And then it's gone. It just cliffhanger, and I'm like, oh, that's
now
why people
you
don't
know
like it.
why.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think people pretend like it doesn't exist. I think people just hate the ending. But I don't know. I think season 4 is...
I think it's solid.
I think season 4 is fine.
Yeah.
It's definitely had its ups and downs. Last week's episode was fucking great.
Oh, yeah.
Got a unanimous alphanumeric rating, which...
that's right.
Lady Glitch, you speculated on the podcast last week. Was that the first unanimous alphanumeric of season 4?
I believe so, yes.
It was not.
It was not.
I went back and I think it might have been... I think we all gave Damon Rising an alphanumeric, the first episode.
Right.
There was one other episode, and you know what? I'm just going to grab my phone right now, and and look it up like a professional,
That's right.
It's legitimate journalism.
I'll
right
have
there.
you know, he puts all of our ratings in the descriptions. God damn it!
I do put all the ratings in the descriptions just for moments like these.
TLDR.
Okay, so Sacrifice, the end of or season 4, episode 4, the end of the first movie. Got a unanimous alphanumeric.
Oh right, of course, yeah.
And I can't even remember that episode off the top of my head right now. And I didn't put the rating for Damon Rising in the description, so
How dare.
I know. What am I doing?
You let yourself down.
Good job.
But it looks like you managed to system hop, Lady Glitch, into our system.
That's right.
What's up with that?
I'm in System Victoria right now. I left System Savannah, 2 days ago. It took 4 flights to get here. Every single one of them was delayed. But I got here. And thank you, Cal, for picking me up at the airport.
That's right. Somebody drove through the fire and flames,
That's
through
true.
the firewall, without any antiviral programming.
through the fire and flames on expert mode, while drunk, still 100%ed it.
Still 100%ed it.
And the weather changed over to pure fog about halfway through, and we still got through.
Everything that could have possibly have gone wrong. And I was like, oh man, please let this be a normal field trip.
With the Cal? No way.
It was so weird. So weird. I was like, okay, darkness and no lights, that's fine. And then it started getting foggier and foggier and foggier. And
Yeah.
you know what's not lit up? The highway. There's only like
Street
lights for like 20% of it. And I'm like, we're going with high beams.
Yeah, we are. Did you ever get those lights fixed, man?
There's whipped cream
I've
where
not
we're
had
going,
time.
boys.
I immediately thought about that. That's what kept me going.
There's whipped cream at the end of this rainbow.
Yeah. And then I went home and
I have no doubt.
I haven't done that in quite a long time.
I have never done that.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
So if you're
as expected.
if you're watching the video portion of the show, you may notice that I have another person in my recording booth with me for the first time ever.
Hey.
Oh
I
yes,
thought I'm
that's what
tiny
we've been
and I'm, like,
referring to.
I'm like back here in the corner just so everyone has room because we're literally working in like a 2x2
No,
box.
it's a studio.
Yeah, it's a studio.
She
damn
has
it.
joined the
this is-
siege in his studio.
This is Lasercomb HQ right here.
That's right.
If it's the both of us, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's right.
And the occasional cameo from a certain pet feline
Hmm.
who just happens to like waltz in from time to time.
Yeah.
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 How
Meow.
Mm-hmm.
Meow. See?
Meow.
He
See.
just wants tensions.
Yeah. Anyway, Alphanumeric episode 51.
Woohoo.
Are we? This is it. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the final episode of the OG reboot, the reboot we all know and love. This is Mainframe Swan Song. This is Megabyte's Line in the Sand. This is the Virals throwing down the gauntlet. This is Bob ready to give the final command. This is the final countdown. Da 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 da.
And you know what? I may have liked this.
Yeah.
Like looking at it in seclusion without being like, oh, there's no episode after this. It's there's a part where Bob's like, we make a pretty good team, don't we, Dot?
And Dot has the doe eyes going on like,
Yeah, and she's like, we always did. And I'm like, You're goddamn right. That's good enough for me.
Yes.
So before we get into talking about the episode, a couple things I want to mention, and to what you were saying there, I generally don't, and maybe this is the maybe this is the like screenwriting student in me, but like I tend to reject it when people are like about something just because it has an ending they don't like. Like the ending of something does, in my mind, doesn't invalidate everything that came before it just because the ending didn't necessarily deliver on what you wanted or go in the way that you wanted.
Yeah.
So people like just straight up hating season 4 of ReBoot just because it ends on a cliffhanger. To me, that's hogwash.
Tis a bit childish, wouldn't one say?
Yes, I would say.
Yeah, like I can understand the frustration of fans because there were supposed to be at least another arc or two after this, and we never got that, and we're still fighting to get it, and it has never been revealed by Gavin Blair or Ian Pearson what that is. We can only speculate.
And
or we can just assume they're done with it and live with that.
And I'm gonna deliver some harsh truths here. And I'm already bracing for the downvotes on this video. But it's been 21 years. It ain't happening.
Well, what happens is you scream and into the void enough, and you try to rally, and then they make something, and it's the Guardian Code, and then you go, no.
Yeah.
We wanted something better. Do it again, peasants. And then at that point, it's like, well, okay, no, we tried. Nobody liked it. It's done.
Yeah, and like the thing is like they're not going to. There is no chance in hell. Cue Vince McMahon's entrance music. No chance. No chance in hell. There is no chance in hell that after 21 years, anyone is going to sink money into continuing a show for children that ended over 2 decades ago because there's no audience for that beyond a few thousand people in their 30s.
Beyond the adults who, well, I think it goes, it's funny, like based on the fandoms and their reactions and stuff. It's really interesting hearing Lady Glitch be like, we're still doing this, like, we don't know what the next arc is going to be like because like Ian Pearson like hasn't shared it and like all of this stuff, and that's like very hopeful and being like, oh, like they have this arc, they have it written, like we're still like fighting for this, and you word it as matter of factly as if there's like kind of stuff behind the scenes that's been shelved. And then like Christopher and I's take on it is like those guys don't want to be bugged. Like bothered to try to like wrangle up and actually produce that thing again.
Well, this is why Ian Pearson never wants to be bothered by anybody. Like he doesn't. I don't think he has social media, and if he does, it's followed by very few people. Like he does not want to be bothered.
I think he has a Twitter that like he hasn't used in like 8 years or something like that.
He's got an Instagram that he updates.
Because 90% of his apps were like people being like, reboot when.
Well, and the thing is too is like none of those people that were involved in the making of ReBoot are with Mainframe anymore.
Yeah, they all just
yeah, like it's done. And I mean, like, say what you want about the Guardian Code. I'm gonna be a little spicy here, but and it's not a good show. I've watched like the first like half dozen or so episodes. It's pretty bad in its own right. But at least they tried something. They tried to do something with the IP that would at least appeal to kids today. And like let's not fool ourselves here. These are children's shows.
I think what irritates people the most is that the current Mainframe CEO had nothing to do with trying to connect with Gavin and the former team to properly finish what was started. It was all his idea, and it had no relation at all to what we're about to watch right now. like the hunt is not continued. It's just something completely different.
Yeah, it definitely does its own thing, and there is one episode of the Guardian Code that involves some of the old cast of the reboot we all know and love. But we'll maybe get into talking about that on a future episode of the podcast. So stay tuned.
Much
for that.
to Lady Glitch's delight.
Oh my god, total delight.
Much to everyone's delight. Although I'm looking forward to it.
Of course you are.
And we're not here to shit talk the reboot fan base.
No.
Because
'Cause we
that's
are
how
part-
we met Lady Glitch.
That's right.
Well, and speaking of Lady Glitch, to be fair about your optimism too, there were actually plans for a third movie for season 4.
Yeah, I remember reading that, and
they ran out of money.
That's what my partner was like. It's like they just run out of money and stop, and I'm like, I don't know. Let me look into it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens.
That looks like what happened.
Yep, they quite literally just ran out of money. So the fans never got that third movie that they were that
we should make a
that
comic.
we all wanted.
We should make a comic continuing the hunt.
Well, someone did.
Oh.
There was a comic produced in the late 2000s or early 2010s, can't remember. It was one of the many failed stop-start attempts at a being like, hey, Reboot's coming back, we're making a new trilogy of movies. And it would just go nowhere, and it eventually kind of just turned into a webcomic. And it was a webcomic that was pointed out to us by one of our listeners. I didn't know this existed, but it was pointed out to us by one of our listeners quite a while ago. I can't remember who it was now. Might have been Code Killer Confusor, or it might have been the Gray Jedi. I can't remember. But someone mentioned Reboot Paradigms Lost.
Right.
Which, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to make the formal announcement here that we will cover that on the podcast at some point. Not sure when, but at some point.
Dan, that's real. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember trying to read it when I was in college, and I think this was back in 06, 07. And I skimmed it, and I just could not find myself connecting with it. Maybe if I reread it now as an almost 35-year-old humanoid, I might find something to connect with, but...
Right.
Have you been much of a comic book reader in your life, though?
Not necessarily. I mean, I have read comics, but I'm not like you guys, so...
Hey.
What?
You mean just Christopher here?
I was gonna say, I'm the comic book person.
How dare you lump me in with those nerds?
I like how you made your voice crack there too.
What?
How dare you? You take that back right now, or I'll get really angry.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
He tries to rip her shirt. Can't do it.
It's 100% cotton. Not even the Hulk could rip this.
I didn't buy this shirt at Walmart, okay? I got it at Kmart.
And my mom got it for me.
What a rip. My mom said I couldn't get wet.
I get in trouble if I get to rip in it.
Exactly. You understand.
Yep.
So what are we're making fun of comic book nerds in this podcast?
We're making fun of everyone.
Comic bird nooks.
So, episode 8, season 4. Worst episode ever. Or is it?
By some people's estimations, I think. I don't know. Listeners, let us know what you think of this episode. We welcome... This is the final episode of Reboot Proper we're going to be reviewing. Ever. For all time. So, in the comments section of the YouTube video, if you're listening to the audio version, click on the link in the description to go to the video version, and let us know in the comments what you think of this episode, because we want to hear all of your opinions, any and all of you who have been along with us on this journey, or even if you're just joining us. Let us know. Let us know what you think of the finale, the final episode of ReBoot, eh?
Thanks for tagging along on our reboot journey, eh?
Yeah, it's been a wild ride.
It's been a wild ride, don't you know?
Some a lot of things I would have never expected happened. A lot of things that I would have never expected to have happened as a result of me starting a podcast where I talk about a show that I watched when I was 9.
Mm-hmm.
Like any examples?
We'll talk about that more next week.
Okay, good idea. This is not
The
the
episode.
supercomputer. That's our wrap up, which we will talk about later.
Yeah. Well, I'll go over like what we got planned for the next episode. The tentative final episode of Alphanumeric for a while.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So, crouching binome hidden virus. It's because there's a lot of kung fu in this movie. Or is it just a play on words because Megabyte can shapeshift?
I think it's a stupid title.
It is, I understand, like hidden virus and the play on binome, but Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is a kung fu movie.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
So it kind of doesn't...
Directed by Ang Lee.
This doesn't land.
No, it doesn't. Sometimes the puns do kind of work. Like, and I didn't even mention this on last week's episode, and I felt so stupid like immediately after we stopped recording. Last week's episode was Nullbot of the Bride, which was a like riff on the movie Father of the Bride. And
I missed that.
And Nullman was like he was a null in a robot, and he was the father of the bride.
Right.
I think there were 2 Father of the Bride movies too. They starred Steve Martin.
Yes.
Yeah. There were 2?
2.
I'm pretty sure there were 2, yeah. I can't remember them at all, but I only hope that sequel involved like the bride getting divorced and getting remarried. Because that's
someone else.
Yeah, to me, in my mind, that's the only way you could really do a sequel with that kind of concept. The concept of like basically being a movie about a wedding and the planning of a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or it could be another one of Steve Martin's daughters. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's
begin.
Let's get into talking about the episode.
Or should we spend 15 minutes like pitching like Father of the Bride 3 and how
bro,
we have a different show for that, right?
Bro, I've got a hell of an elevator pitch for you for a trilogy, a reboot trilogy of Father of the Brides, a dark and gritty reboot.
It's dark and gritty?
It's dark and gritty. It's a period piece set in the 2000s during the war in Iraq. And it involves...
Go on.
And it involves the father of the bride... Or the bride is a soldier in Iraq, and she gets wounded and sent home. She loses a leg in war, and she comes back, and she is like completely slips through the cracks, falls through the system. But she meets a man in a chance meeting because he's working at a convenience store, and sparks fly. And her father, now played by Gary Oldman.
Oh, of course.
Is vehemently against their pairing because she is a war hero, goddammit, and he is just a filthy, like, lame, like, uneducated cashier boy.
I got a twist for you. Okay, but then he meets the cashier's like mom, and he thinks she's hot. And then the movie shifts a little bit, and it's about the two younger people trying not to get their parents to hook up.
And it turns out the cashier, the checkout boy's mom is actually a war hero herself, and she was like a rough and tough drill sergeant, and it turns out the father of the bride is actually like really into dominatrixes and being like dominated. He's a total sub. So this adds like another layer to their relationship dynamic, and their two kids are just progressively getting more and more horrified.
And she marches in to tell him that, you know, he shouldn't be meddling, and like tell him like what for, and he's all like, whoa, I love a woman who takes charge.
There you go. That's part 1. Stay tuned. Listen to the next episode of Alphanumeric for parts 2 and 3 of the trilogy.
There you go. You're welcome. But okay, so what did we learn last time on ReBoot?
That
Megabyte's back.
And he has returned from the web, and he is a Trojan horse virus, and he can shapeshift, and it's kind of scary. Because he can be anywhere, being anyone,
and he sounds
anytime.
just like them, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as we learned in the episode, scans don't... he scans just like whoever he's copying.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the episode opens with a exterior shot of the principal office, and we hear audio from the end of the last episode of Megabyte being all like, everyone... run!
Panic, panic, panic! Ah!
Get out of here, you idiots! But then the camera like quickly goes into the principal office, and it's our heroes.
The gang talking to Turbo.
Yeah, it's our heroes like watching vid windows showing them them watching footage of Megabyte copying various figures, including Specky.
Poor Specky. He didn't deserve that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not my man Scotty.
And when he does this, like when he touches them, it seems like he saps some of their energy, so they just pass out.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to be fine. They just pass out for a bit.
Yeah, they gotta get a little recharge in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing like he has to steal some code from them in order to assume their form, which is kind of draining.
Yeah,
would be my guess. And
so
indeed, we talk about cold.
Code Lyoko. That's how it's pronounced.
We talk about Cold Pursuit. Cold Hard Justice.
Cold Hard Lyoko.
Revenge.
The show that ReBoot is Revenge is a Dish Best Served Lyoko. For anybody that has... So there's a French cartoon called Code Lyoko that is...
pretty bad.
There's 3D parts, there's 2D parts. It's kind of like Guardian Code.
Yeah.
But not.
Some would have you believe that ReBoot the Guardian Code ripped off Code Lyoko. Wholesale. ReBoot the Guardian Code Lyoko.
That's right.
There we go.
See, the names are basically the same.
Yeah, pretty much. That pretty much does it. I've seen both. I can see why people think that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we watched at least one episode of it.
Yep, just one.
Just
Only
one.
Yep, just one. On our another one of our fine podcast that we do week in and week out, the Laser Comb podcast, where me and Cal comb through random episodes of classic TV shows with a fine-tooth laser. Go and check that out.
That's right. Was that one a Patreon request?
Yes, that was by our longtime listener of this show, and perhaps too much energon, I'm not sure. Bemused Horseman.
And
so, shout out to him.
One of us may have liked it, and one of us may have hated it.
Yeah, you'll have to go listen to that episode of the Lasercomb podcast to figure out which one it was. I can't remember what episode we covered it on, but...
Was it like episode 10 or something?
One of them. It's one of them.
It's one of them. It was a while ago now.
Yeah. But back in ReBoot land...
Yes, we're back in the war room, and they're talking to Turbo about this energy transfer and the Trojan horse shapeshifting. And Bob's going on about, like, how he wants to continue to want to reprogram Megabyte for good and not for evil, and Turbo's like drilling into him like, you're still going with your same old theories, Bob, blah blah blah.
Gosh dang it, Bob, you still trying to rehabilitate them viruses?
Yep. And Turbo just wants to send a bunch of Guardians over to like kill them all, and Bob's just like, no, we're gonna take care of this ourselves. If we need you, we're gonna call you.
God damn it, Bob, I don't want to hear any more of that bleeding heart lefty bullshit from you. You get one shot and you take that motherfucker out, and that's an order.
Otherwise, the cavalry's coming in.
Honestly,
Turbo out.
In like current affairs of the world right now, we're recording this at the end of what month are we in?
We are in the beginning of March.
Thank you. I was going to say November, but it's not November; it's March of 2020.
It's also not that this is related to anything, but it is one of my sister's 21st birthdays today.
Hey, woo!
So, Caitlin, you are undoubtedly not listening, but I know you like ReBoot, so happy birthday.
Woohoo!
Happy birthday. I thought you said my name for a second, and I was like, I'm not your sister.
Not yet.
God.
But this
Don't reprogram me.
But this exchange between Turbo and Bob is reminding me a lot of Ukraine and the U.S. right now, because the U.S. is acting like Turbo and they want to send in all of our troops and like explosions and stuff to fight Russia. But Ukraine's like, dude, we're going to handle it ourselves, and if we want your help, we're going to call you. And that's kind of the stance that they're taking right now, because Ukraine's kind of kicking ass right now. So
the media would have you believe that they are kicking butt, but being slowly invaded by a force 20 times larger than yours.
But the fact that they're doing it just them and not with other allies at the moment is a very Turbo Bob relationship kind of thing right now.
I see. So Ukraine is Bob.
Yeah.
And he's all like, no, we got it.
If we need you, we're going to call you.
There are more complications to it than them saying no to other people helping. In fact, they would really like that, but I won't get into that because this is not a political or a war podcast.
If you want to hear us talk about more serious shit than
cartoons,
than 25-year-old cartoons, go to patreon.com/lasercomb and subscribe at the $10 and up tier. Not only do you get to pick a show for us to review on the podcast that I mentioned a few minutes ago, the Lasercomb podcast, but you get our weekly news and current events program, Lasercomb Tonight, where me and Cal, and sometimes a guest or two, talk about real shit going on in the world.
Long tangents about some of that real shit.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of preamble between all of us. And if you want to hear us talk about all that.
There are currently 26 episodes of Lasercomb Tonight on Patreon right now. Damn. So, including episode 25, where we got especially like salty about some certain convoys that were existing in Canada in the fight for alleged freedom, and truckers that actually had nothing to do with truckers other than
Convoy from Vigilante 8.
Yeah, that's Convoy from Vigilante 8.
That's what we're talking about now.
We are talking about Lyo Convoy,
our favorite Japanese beast former.
Not Lyo Jr., but Lyo Convoy. I don't know, Big Convoy is pretty dope. At least the figure that you got for Christmas is.
Is he over there, Cal?
I'm so tempted.
Do it!
To open that.
If you're gonna open it, wait until
That's a too much energon, kind of.
It's a too much energon, and wait until we actually eventually start talking about the Japanese Beast Wars show.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for those that are either listening or watching, back during our Christmas episodes for this podcast, I gifted Cal a Big Convoy figurine in the Japanese box as his present. So
yeah, if anyone's watched or listened to episode 42 of Alphanumeric, that's where that went down.
That's right.
another alphanumeric Christmas. That was a fun episode.
It was
That
so
was a
fun.
fun
It was my
episode.
first time coming over here to System Canada.
System Western NA.
System CNNA. I don't know. This is CNN.
This is CNNA.
So anyway, we're going back to the war room, and Matrix is asking Bob, "What's the plan?" It's like, Bob,
And
it's
he's
your show
like,
now.
we can't find him because we can't scan him, but we can outsmart him.
Yeah.
And Fong is like, what? Who? And he kind of like looks at Matrix and Bob, and they're like, hey, we're smart. He's like, you should go and find Dot. And I'm paraphrasing badly, but the gist of it is they need Dot.
Yeah.
They need Dot, and the idea that Dot comes up with is basically like the one thing that Megabyte would be after. Dot is like, I made some mistakes with Damon, but like with Megabyte, like I know this motherfucker, like he wants to get to the supercomputer, so we need to like bring out the Stargate.
As soon as I saw that in the episode, I was like, fucking Stargate, man. We can't get away from this thing. Wasn't this thing smashed to pieces?
Yeah, and we even trace back to Megabyte and season 1, episode 1, The Tearing. Like, he's always wanted to go to the freaking supercomputer. Now we're going to give him a chance.
Yeah.
There's a
Quote,
scene
unquote.
where, speaking of convoys and stuff, there's
Yes.
there's some protesters that almost get run over by the Blues Brothers.
Yeah, Specky is like, hey, we got something happening outside the principal office. And we see a bunch of, I guess, former viral binomes being like,
Hey.
we want to go viral. When do we want it? Now.
Snidler's out in that protest.
Right?
He's right next to Air Doctor.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I know, right?
Yeah, imagine that.
Right next to the hairstylist binome. Well, I hope he's happy.
Right?
I like when the Blues Brothers show up. They show up. So there's a bunch of CPUs, and behind them is this like more stylish car.
Yeah.
Kind of a like a reboot take on the Blues Brothers mobile.
Definitely, yeah.
And so there are two of these guys in the front seat, and they're like neo-virals. I hate neo-virals. But I like the musical cue here by Bob Buckley, friend of the show. It's very reminiscent of the Peter Gunn soundtrack, like the theme from Peter Gunn, which you know what? Fuck it. I'll throw that at the end of this episode.
That's
theme
the ending.
for Peter
There
Gunn.
we go.
Yeah. So if you're wondering what I mean by that, just listen all the way to the end. You'll get to hear it.
Yeah. So they kind of like run over the, what did he call them? Neo-virals?
Neo-virals, yeah.
Huh.
And everyone's crushing.
You don't say.
And everyone's crushing Air Doctor's hands.
Oh, because like Bunny Slipper Igor guy and Air Doctor get like knocked off the edge. And then of course, as kind of like a nod to the fact this has happened multiple times, everyone's running across the bridge trying to
Escape.
why are they running? Escape what? Escape the police? The CPUs?
Something like that.
Something like that. And they step on his fingers and he's like, oh, mine digits.
They're getting run over by the cops, and they're doing that thing that I know you have complained about, Cal, which is when people flee from a car driving toward them, they always run like directly away from it.
Thank you. Okay, so when a building is falling, when a tree or something is like falling, or when a vehicle is coming down like a straight like path towards them, why does everybody run in the straight line as if they can outrun like the falling tree or the falling building or the vehicle? You go lateral. You never play football? You go left and right. You don't go through.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, a tree falling, you can run 10 feet left or right, or you can run 50 feet in a straight line parallel to the trajectory of the tree. Which one are you going to choose? Sorry, thank you.
The path of least
That's been
distance.
my time. So there's Mike the TV.
The path that involves the least amount of flattening.
Yes. The flattening.
The
That's the follow-up episode to this. So what happens? Why is Mike the TV on air? Can anybody just cast like gigantic windows up in
I
the
was
sky?
wondering about that. So
you'd think we would have talked about this, and maybe we have. There's a lot of episodes of the show.
yeah, we've only ever seen Fong. We've only ever seen people from within the principal office deliver like public addresses to the citizens of Mainframe by way of giant ass like IMAX size like vid windows like completely surrounding the principal office. But apparently Mike the TV can do that, and he's.
Have you ever seen Megabyte do it?
From inside the principal office, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He might have also done it from inside the tour too, back in like earlier seasons.
Yeah, I feel like he did. Yeah,
So
he did it in
It's
season
sus.
3 when he took over Mainframe for a while.
Yeah, at the end of season 2.
That makes sense because he had access to the principal office. But here, Mike the TV is just like, breaking news. Shit's crazy, y'all. Start rioting, flipping tables.
Yeah,
It's Trump's America now, boy. And
yeah, Mike the TV is all like,
Megabyte's back.
yeah, Megabyte's back. He could be any one of you. You can't trust the man next to you. Any one of them could be, any one of them could be a Megabyte. We think that he gets you alone, like real close, and then absorbs you and tries to imitate you. Where were you, child?
thank you.
It's like,
I'm referencing the John Carpenter's The Thing now.
I was waiting.
They're all like in a room, like just like there's Bob with like a fucking like blowtorch
And a copper wire.
and a copper wire.
He's like, okay, I'm going to apply this to some of your code.
Yeah. If it goes ape,
If it turns into a null, then
if it turns into a null, you're fine. If it goes ape shit, then it's then you're Megabyte.
there's a good too much commentary candidate.
Oh, absolutely! It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Samesies. Have you seen it, Lady Glitch?
I think I did like way back in the day, but it's been so long I can't even remember it. So I'm down for a rewatch.
It is a
Yeah,
movie
John
that is.
Carpenter's The Thing is what, 82?
Yeah, I was gonna say it is a movie that is older than any of us, so holds up. It was shot in northern British Columbia too.
Oh, hot damn.
It's set in Antarctica, but it was shot in northern BC, much like Empire Strikes Back.
Sweet.
The sequences on Hoth.
If you want to go where there are no people and there's a lot of snow.
Yeah. Yeah, go to northern BC in like February.
So what happens? All of Mainframe reacts,
Yeah,
calmly and properly, and
kind of, sort of. Like, Mike the TV throws up, like, this artist rendition of what Megabyte is supposed to look like, and he's got, like, big claws and, like, flames behind him, and it looks like a 5-year-old did him with crayons, and
I thought it was pretty scary.
I thought it was scary, too. I also thought it was really hilarious, because it's like...
Well, that kind of tips his hand, because
That artist rendition of Megabyte actually looks fucking dope.
right?
Yeah.
You think so too?
I think you need that as the show art.
Or one of the derpy faces when it's like, it's someone in this room, and it goes.
Okay, so when me and Lady Glitch were watching this earlier, it was a barrage of me being like, "Oh, there's the show art right there. Oh, there's the show art right there. Oh, there's the show art right there." I think my favorite was
Same,
probably
I was like,
Andreas.
Yeah.
Every face got worse and worse. I was like, Christopher's gonna make that the show art. No, that one's derpier. And then it stops it, and Andrea, who's like, and I'm like, no, that's it.
That's probably that, yeah. Although I might make it the shot of Megabyte at the very end where he's like baring his teeth, because that's kind of an iconic.
Badass looking.
Yeah, and it's an iconic shot of Megabyte
have
from
we-
season 4.
Yeah, we haven't had him as a
show
like the thumbnail. At least not new Megabyte as the thumbnail. No.
Or to just like as a general like sentiment over the cliffhangery nature of the ending of this series, maybe I will just make it a fucking derp face.
Why not?
You know how I feel. Derp faces always win out over badass.
Agreed.
There's some real talk between non-vid window IRL Mouse and Dot, because she's just hiding in the park
with Hack and Slash, and she and Mouse are having girl time.
I really like that they like stick to her like glue. I'm like, man, these are great. I like these guys. Until they like are like Megabyte, and then they fly away, and I'm like, they're supposed to be your bodyguards.
They probably still have PTSD from working with them.
I was gonna say, like, think about all the abuse they suffered at the hands of Megabyte, and all of a sudden he shows back up. Like, gotta imagine.
Last episode they were like, well, whose side are we on? Like some weird like mental conditioning where they were like, oh, well, we don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, you got to imagine that they are probably like they are battered housewives. If you
want to know what I kind of wanted to see this episode?
What?
Them punch his ass out. Like, you know, when they're all in the principal office in a bit there, I wanted them to be like, hey, stay away from our boss. As kind of like a throwback, and like fucking like knock like punch him through a wall or something. That would have been, I can't get everything though, can I? But
right.
That would have been so satisfying.
Always get what you want.
No. That should be the music theme for this episode. This episode is that song like in a bottle.
Yeah. Although,
a message from C. What does it say? You can't always get what you want. There's music. Fuck you, bottle.
That song is by the Rolling Stones though, and is like one of the most famous songs of all time. Like YouTube's copyright cops will like fucking bend me over the table in no time over that one.
And speak of the devil, they're contemplating like what to do, and she's like, and you know what, I do like the scene where yada-ing it, but I do like it because she's like, this is super awkward because I chose like Megabyte pretending to be Bob over the real Bob.
Man, I fucked Megabyte like Jesus Christ.
Like, I lost count.
And it was really good. What does that say about me?
She's like, fuck. And what if Bob's not? And I should have known.
Yeah. And Mouse is just like, he played you like a movie file, sugar.
Yeah.
It's like you fucked with your emotions. You fucked with Bob. It's like, what do you believe anymore?
They played us like a damned fiddle.
Yeah.
And then we see Bob and Matrix flying on in.
There's the Metal Gear reference for the episode.
Everybody gets one.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it's from Metal Gear Solid 5.
Citation.
One of the the latest installment.
Mm-hmm.
It was a meme for a while in like 2015. Miller being like, they played us like a damned fiddle on the helicopter.
Oh, that's what that's from.
Yeah, it's from MGS5. Yeah. I think it's from Ground Zero specifically, the like 2-hour like prequel, like glorified demo of the game.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Anyway,
was hot shit at the time. That's old.
Yeah,
We're
2015. Old. Like, holy shit.
Wow.
It's hard to think that was 7 years ago now. Like,
I graduated grad school 7 years ago. Same year. Shit.
I like how they're like, hey, I don't want to talk to this Bob because this could be Megabyte. Yeah, that's it. And that's when hack and slash takeoff.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and Dot is saying to Mouse, she's like, yeah, I can't face the real Bob right now, and like what, like what's he gonna think of me? And Mouse is like, oh, it's Bob. He'll forgive you. He always does.
And Mouse is just, or not Mouse, but Dot's just like, but I don't think I can forgive that easily. I'm so ashamed.
Yeah.
It's like, damn.
We can't all be as saintly as Bob.
Yeah, but also, like, Mouse being like, oh, it's Bob, he'll forgive you. That's, like...
Really now?
Kind of abusing his goodwill a little bit. Taking advantage of his goodwill.
Yeah. You know who's grown? Like, I think Bob's might end up being pushing towards my favorite character. But again, I'll save all this favorite character stuff and whatever for the a very special episode of Alphanumeric.
Looking forward to that one.
There's like a bar scene with all of like the unemployed like Nazi binomes complaining about the good old days.
All the Canadian truckers, if you will.
All hanging out on level 31.
We were allowed to say the N-word. It didn't mean nothing. I have black friends.
People are just too damn sensitive nowadays. I should be able to say what I want. People should be able to take a joke when I call them a racial slur.
Nobody has a sense of humor anymore.
Nobody knows loyalty.
And then Al yells from the front. He's like, masks. And they're like, oh, serious? We have to wear a mask now? I remember when this system was free.
What?
I'm going too far.
Just hear Al yell, what?
What? Hey, Al, these guys aren't putting on their masks.
What?
Their masks. He just gives up. I mean, I'm not wrong. That's the gist of the scene, because Mike the TV, in quotes, like walks up and he's like, look at you, filthy little snowflakes complaining about shit. And they're like, you got a pretty big mouth for someone who wants to get cut. And they like smash a bottle and whip out a switchblade. And
I like the one guy is like, you better shut your mouth there, buddy, or I'm gonna change your channel.
That was good. Good writing.
It's like, you don't have enough processing speed to, operate a calculator.
Oh, that was a good one, yeah.
Yeah.
And then when they get up to like confront him, he's like, sit down, you morons. And it's kind of weird.
Like they're
from...
shaking, but they also have like looks of happiness on their face when they watch Mike the TV transform into Megabyte. And it's like, yo, dude, I'm back. Claws.
Yeah, and he transforms into his viral form.
All right, now you're back. Now we're gonna make mainframe great again.
Megabyte's mainframe now, boys.
It's like, surrender your PIDs to me, and then he shoots out these cable thingies, and they attach onto Al's waiter, and it just takes out his energy and transforms him
poor
into
guy.
Viral.
He's gone through so much.
Yeah.
He doesn't deserve this.
So the way Megabyte turns people viral in this episode is very reminiscent of
Borg.
The Borg, yeah. Specifically, starting in Star Trek First Contact, the second Next Generation movie. Still the best Star Trek movie, in my opinion. In
case anyone wasn't sure, they like Star Trek on the show. The writers.
The Borg didn't do that in Next Generation, but starting in the movie First Contact, they started being able to just assimilate people by shooting like a couple of wires out of their hands that would shoot Borg nanobots. Yeah, Borg nanites into a person's system that would begin assimilating them from the inside out.
Using their own iron in their blood and their own cells or whatever to like copy and slowly replace. So
yeah,
it wasn't like an instant thing like it is on this episode, but it was kind of like you got a dose and It's
Yeah,
gonna
and the like slow progression for a Star Trek movie, it was actually like some kind of like cool like light body horror light stuff going on.
yeah.
And that continued into Star Trek Voyager.
So what happens to Al's waiter?
He
He
becomes
goes,
viral.
I am viral. Resistance is futile.
And then all the other binomes like are offering their PIDs to Megabyte.
Yeah.
So
And
turns them
then
into
Megabyte puts on a red like MAGA hat and decides to hold like another rally.
He's carrying around the American flag.
That's kind of what happens off screen. He suddenly gets like a bunch of his mini army again.
Yeah.
Like what, 20 maybe?
Something
with like
that.
5 of those hover tanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like
they came packing heat, damn it.
Are they zombies or are they just infected? They could probably be restored, right?
I think the ones that voluntarily give their PIDs to Megabyte
Oh,
are
they
like,
just
fully
become viral.
functioning. Yeah. But the ones that he shoots with his cables, they're like delirious a little bit because they have like lack of energy. It's kind of like when you're donating blood and you need your cookies to get back to square one.
Mm-hmm.
So
They've been assimilated. They're just mindless drones now.
Do they like slowly chant Emotep and like just charge the principal office? You weren't expecting Brendan Fraser's 1999 The Mummy, but here you get it, folks.
Arnold Vosloo is the fucking man. I'm just gonna say that.
It doesn't do anything with these zombified binomes. Or do
Really?
they just stand there? Like, are they, like you said, Lady Glitch, comatose? Or can they be directed? Or I don't know. See.
So I'm thinking a hypothesis here is
Oh.
that he's, going to go infect like all the binomes that he possibly can that won't willingly surrender their PIDs to him. And at some point he's going to like give a signal or something and they're all just going to kind of congregate at the same time. But unfortunately we don't see this.
Right. So signal and they can kind of like become a zombie horde or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I dig that because they still seem aware of their environment. They're just, their eyes go blue and red and their I think their PIDs, their icons, turn
green and black.
aqua and black.
Isn't it green?
Oh, he's aqua now.
Oh.
The symbol on Megabyte's chest is like light blue.
Oh, interesting.
We're splitting hairs here with colors.
No, but it's a big deal because his big thing was he had that green, like viral skull-like thing.
Right. Maybe when he got his Trojan horse capabilities,
And
changed color.
it's to signify that he's changed some more than just physically. Okay,
Yeah,
well that's cool. That's cool.
We forgot to mention earlier in the episode in the war room when they were talking about the code transferal that the reason why Megabyte, they speculated that the reason why Megabyte was able to survive in the web was because when he grabbed Glitch and crushed it at the end of season 2, some of Glitch and Bob's code transferred into Megabyte.
And to prove that, Bob is like, see, I have crystal ball footage of that event. And he pops up a window that happened to be zooming in, right?
It just
On
happened to be
Megabyte's
the
hand.
shot from that episode.
Yep.
Yeah.
Except they added a little like lightning effect as he
Yeah.
crushed it, which was not in the original episode. And it's like, see, there, enhance. Thanks, Crystal Ball. And I guess some of his
Thanks,
code
Crystal
went-
Ball. You're my best friend.
Me and you and me. That crystal ball makes its mainframe rounds. I just want to say, but like again, kids don't know that. They go, "Oh yeah." They don't
I
go,
remember watching that.
What's filming this? So what is it? The Guardian code. A little bit of it went on Megabyte to protect him when he went into the web.
Yeah, so that's why they were only partially degraded in the web instead of fully.
Yeah.
Now, if Bob had his full Guardian code, would he have been?
The implication that I got was like, or the impression that I got was that if Bob had retained all of his Guardian code, if some of it hadn't been transferred to Megabyte, then he probably wouldn't have degraded at all in the web. But the reason why
the impression I got too.
The reason why he degraded a bit was because Megabyte had some of his code.
So they were both able to be degraded but still survive a bit, like the melty kind of like looking armor and like the gray spot, like spots on his skin. Yeah. I dig that. So you know what? The episode did wrap up one thing. I'll give it that.
See, that's cool. And like those are the kind of like little like details, like backstory elements and whatnot that I like to be filled in on.
Yeah.
Like these are the kind of details that I like to hear about. Like, oh, so that's why.
Yeah. Yeah, I dug that.
And it just adds more depth to an episode other than just watching it. You actually have to think about it.
Right. And like I've complained
Agreed.
I've complained in recent episodes about like overcomplicating the narrative by just like essentially like trying to fill like a pinhole of plot with like a pinhole size like bit of like missing like backstory with like a 2x4 sized amount of plot. Like I've complained about that in the past, but like
well, the thing
little things like this, like I appreciate.
So I really like that, and to like Siege just said, when you raise 2 or 3 questions by answering one, I don't think anybody's happy. That's my analogy, right? Like I don't think anyone's happy with that. When they were like, "Oh, that's what happened to Lost Angles," and so wait, what? Why are there 2 virus? But I thought there was one. Are they going to answer this stuff? No. I don't like that.
How did everyone get nullified by an explosion when I thought it was just games that made people nulls?
And indeed, later on, they kind of point that out. They're like, that's weird. He wasn't nullified by a game, though. So how do we help him? So at least they acknowledge that. They
acknowledged it, but they still didn't explain it. They're like within the story, and that's like it's called like hanging a lantern on something or lampshading. It's where like and I'm sure I've talked about this on this podcast before, but it's where the writers will point out like some sort of like plot contrivance or plot hole or like something that's overly convenient. They'll point it out within the text. So it's like, so we know that this is really we know that this is kind of hokey or that this doesn't make sense, and we're gonna like tell the audience that we know. We're gonna point it out to the audience that we know that this doesn't make any sense, and that'll give us a free pass. It's lazy writing,
but that will maybe get answered in the next episode of. Oh, wait a second.
That'll get answered
episode
in the
9 of season 4.
That'll get answered in the 3rd movie that originally aired on December 1st, 2001, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's what happened, right? I'm not misremembering. Oh wait, no, that never happened.
Do 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 do. IRL said Enzo music for everyone. So what happens
Hello,
here?
Hello, darkness, my old friend. Sad Affleck.
Yeah. Oh, this, and that's the thing. I understand people's frustration, but
yeah.
From what is of season 4, I'm digging it. I'll do my own fan fiction of what happens after, but such is life, right? And but at least we get to see some Stargate action, some like Grand Theft, like auto mainframe edition.
Grand Theft Stargate.
Grand Theft Stargate, yeah. That's worse than Grand Theft Auto.
Oh yeah, so
28 to life.
Grand Theft Hover Tank.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the viral binomes come out of nowhere. They even, speaking of hanging a lantern, on something. The principal office is like, where did he get those tanks? And I'm like, yeah.
Where did he get? Where indeed? Where indeed did he get those fucking tanks? Where does he get those wonderful toys?
Yeah. And
From
yeah,
the
the
toy store.
viral binomes sure are happy.
And then like Prince music starts playing.
That's weird. This is being operated remotely. And so they force field tractor beam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get a tractor beam on it. I don't know why it sounds like this.
And then back in the war room, Dot's just like, don't you just love it when a plan comes together?
No, Wasbinator think we need a new plan.
And as the bad guys are getting away with the Stargate, there's an extra hover tank that kind of like the camera kind of like lingers on that follows the others. I'm just noticing that now. I didn't notice like a mysterious extra tank before. And I'm like, wait, was her plan like sacrificing a bunch of mainframe cops? Because like they blew up.
Hey,
Or is it supposed to suggest that all of those
NeoCal,
vehicles?
remember, ACAB.
That's right. All CPUs are binomes.
There.
Yes!
We did it, ladies
There we
and
go.
gentlemen. There we go. We got there.
All CPUs are binomes, and they are too.
And they
That's
are.
glorious.
You heard it here. I should do something up in MS Paint.
Yes. But it's a Patreon
All
exclusive.
CPUs are
Added to the Twitter bio.
yeah. all CPUs are binomes.
Hashtag all CPUs are binomes.
Wow. If you want to, we expand in detail how we feel about these funny IRL shenanigans on our Patreon. So
Yeah. Go to the Patreon. There's a lot of at this point. There's a lot. We have quite a backlog of interesting content.
quite a backlog of spice.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically Dune up on
Old
this
Spice,
bitch.
if you will.
Old Spice, New Spice, Dune
All
Spice,
Allspice.
Allspice.
Spice is life.
Spice Girls.
The spice must flow.
Spice World.
Spice Wars.
Spice up your life. Yeah.
Spice Mines of Kessel. What you
Does one of the binomes have a double mustache? The viral binomes? Has he always? Is that Chauncey?
Probably.
He's got like a mustache, but like then another one.
Maybe he
Didn't Chauncey die? Ages
I thought
ago?
he died.
Yeah.
didn't he get rebooted with the system upgrade system restore?
Maybe.
He did.
Yeah.
You're
Because
right.
there was a shot of him at NProg.
You're right.
Yeah.
And he wasn't viral. Yeah.
Mhm.
Lieutenant Chauncey.
So yeah, it could be him. And they're all like booting up the Stargate. Like a damn fool, Megabyte standing right in front of it. Doesn't he know you're not supposed to stand in front of it? The event horizon will vaporize your ass.
Yep.
But not mainframe.
As 10 seasons and over 200 episodes of Stargate SG-1 and 5 seasons and and exactly 100 episodes of Stargate Atlantis and
Back up.
2 seasons of Stargate Universe taught me if you stand in front of the gate when the link is established and the event horizon like shoots out, you will die. You will be destroyed. So
Do not.
Do not cross this line.
Yeah, they need a warning line. But Megabyte's like, fuck the police, I always say. And he walks into, he stands in front of it and he's like, Doctor. And he's like, here you go. And then he sees the net. He's come this close before, but never walked through. And he walks through and...
You notice Air Doctor's digits have healed like miraculously quickly? Because like they got fucked up like earlier in the episode. And then like now they're fine. And then if I recall correctly, like something happens shortly again.
Because
in the
we saw
episode.
them bandaged when he was at Al's diner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they're fine.
And now they're fine.
I wonder if it's because when going back to Al's diner, Megabyte looks at Air Doctor and he's like, keeping the faith, are we? He probably fixed them with his magical Trojan horse powers.
Magic healing powers, maybe.
Possibly.
Magical Trojan Magnum XXL powers.
Yup.
Oh, maybe they're not bandages on his digits. Maybe they're Trojan Magnum XXLs.
I can't even. Right, it was an alpha thing. I was like, are we making too much Energon jokes? And
No, this was
alphanumeric.
this was last week's episode.
Yep.
You know what's funny? When Bob and Dot eventually like hook up, and he'll like look over, and there's like a half-emptied box of like Trojan Magnum XXLs. He'll be like, "What's those? How's she gonna explain that?"
Mega dick.
Mega dick. I intend to find out.
Mega dick with the mega sperm.
All of a sudden, he
ReBoot will be back after these messages.
ReBoot was not back after these messages.
No, it really wasn't.
Nope.
No. I think that would change Bob's mind. He'd be all like, you know how I said it was talking about reprogramming? I'm just going to delete the bits now. Because let's imaginarium for a moment before we.
But before he goes and deletes the motherfucker, though, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna take some of that code back from you that you took from me. You know what? I'm gonna take some of that code, some of your code, you know. And he's
See
like,
how you feel.
He takes Glitch and like points it down to Megabyte's crotch, and he's like, Glitch extraction.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Where's God?
Who's got the mega dick now?
Oh man. And then he hears a voice in his head, and it's like, "Hello, Bob," and he's like, "Oh no." Hex. There we go. See, this writes itself. Fan fiction, I'm telling you.
There you go, Cal. There's something for you to do tonight.
Who was it? Cone Killer Confusor that did like the sketches of some of the memes we've done on the show.
Yeah, he did. Big shout out to him. He did the Air Doctor,
And he did the
sketch.
tropical vacation shake, energy shake.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big shout out to our boy Cone Killer Confusor.
Yeah.
You rock.
Those were great. His Air Doctor.
I have it on my wall
That's right.
currently. Yeah.
So the viral binomes look
Also, to circle back for a second, we're kind of like on the fly writing season 5 of ReBoot. I'm just gonna.
Yeah,
just
I've
gonna
noticed.
throw that
Like
out there.
we've thrown enough of this in that I'm like, this is writing itself, folks.
So we are doing what Mainframe won't. We are writing season 5 of ReBoot for adults in their mid-30s.
And it's what
I
we
mean,
need.
it's making us laugh, so it's laser comb canon.
Yep.
Oh, so
Indisputable.
as Megabyte is going through to the net,
Mega
all
butt.
of Megabyte, he kind of looks back at his men.
And they're all
and-
saluting him.
They're all saluting, but they look so happy.
Because they're now back to being viral, which is all that they've known.
But like,
Yeah.
if he ditches them in the net, they'll be like, "Yeah, well, wait a second. What do we do now? Well, we're viral, but there's no virus in mainframe. Whoopsie daisy." But presumably, based on season 1, episode 1, they're gonna follow him.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
Because he wanted to go in with all of his
Minions.
his
legions.
minions in the back then,
His colleagues,
his colleagues.
as he put it.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens here? He just kind of walks through it.
He goes through the sloosh and
Nothing
there it
happens.
goes. And then he's yelling at Air Doctor like, "What the fuck just happened?"
Surprise! It's the rebels.
Yeah,
I like this fight.
Yeah, because he walks through, and then instead of actually going to the supercomputer, he just like comes back.
He just walks through it through the back of the shimmer.
Yeah, it's like it just mirrors him back.
Yeah. And one of the hover tanks opens up, and we got the gang. We got some CPUs. We got Barrett.
You're not the only one with Trojan horse
capabilities,
motherfucker.
Good one, Matrix.
That actually made me laugh because that's kind of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they snuck in.
Yeah.
I like that Frisket is just there. And while they're all shooting or blasting, because like Bob has glitch and he's kind of like pew-pewing. This is well done. Like this fight, this is probably one of the better like gun fights, energy group fights of the show. Yeah, and I like how they all have their own thing, like Andrea with her
nails,
like shooting her nails out.
Yeah, they've definitely stepped up the action sequences in this season.
Yeah. Matrix is just blasting. So anyway, I started blasting, and while Doctor and Igor are trying to sneak away, Frisket stops them.
It's a great throwback to season 1, episode 6, when they capture Frisket to get that unformat command out of his belly.
Right.
And it's just like, yeah, no, motherfuckers, you guys stay back.
Now it's my turn.
Exactly.
And something. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say Bob's yelling over at Matrix like, "Don't let him get away," and Matrix throws a targeting on Megabyte,
which we haven't seen in
a while.
I mean, he's used it once, I think, or twice, but we've seen it. He physically puts a target that kind of lingers on them.
Yeah, he used it when they were sailing through the web. Late in season 3.
If he can't see them, does it still stick on them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Seems
so.
Like.
So what's happening here is he's kind of who would have thought?
He's got Megabyte's number.
Yeah, because
the targeting reticle is stuck to him, but Megabyte like is constantly trying to shapeshift, but he's not able to like shake the targeting reticle. So
so he's trying in the confusion and the chaos. He's like pretending to be like Doctor. He pretends to be like a viral binome, right? And none of it's working. And eventually because he's looking down and he still has like the little reticle on him, and they get him. Matrix blasts him, and like a tear forms on him. But before it does any damage or does whatever, Bob makes a portal.
Yep, and sends him to jail.
And I'm like, wow, you guys actually got him?
It's like, Doc, we got him.
And it's like it's the final episode of the show or something.
Yeah.
They finally caught the bad guy and all live happily ever after.
And I was like, you know what? Yeah, they're gonna wrap things up. This is gonna be great. And I looked and I'm like, there's 10 more minutes. Wait,
yeah, there's more.
Wait a second. And so if it just ended here with Andrea jumping into Matrix's arms, which does happen, and I'm like, cute. Yeah, I haven't seen that in a while. Yeah, I like that. And maybe the last 10 minutes were to wrap things up with Dot and Bob, and
I thought that was going to happen too. I thought he was going to drop the L-bomb, and it's just like, we make a great team. We always have.
What? That's not what happens.
I know it's cute, but it's not the end of it. Ow.
So they got Megabyte for good, right?
So it seems.
Yes.
And he's like, I see that neither of you could have been the brains behind this operation. He's behind like an energy field.
It's like, I have to think the.
And Bob's like, of course not. He's like, I suppose I have the young Dot Matrix. You know what? I feel like he respects Dot. Maybe that's just in my head, but I feel like, I don't know, not enough to not like pretend to be Bob and fuck her, but from like a villain standpoint, she seems to be his only like rival,
like mental rival, like an analytical rival.
Yeah, and without her, he could outsmart and like maybe outmaneuver the rest.
Mm-hmm.
He understands that she is the brains of the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
As any good mob boss would.
He's like, oh yes, hers and mine children will be very smart indeed. And Bob's like, what?
And attractive.
And
So-
tall.
And shiny.
And blue and naked.
And blue and naked and proud. In the very least, red-headed stepchild.
Or red-finned in this case.
Red.
He kind of has like a
head.
fin on the back of his head.
Still counts as red-headed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Red-finned stepchild.
So what ends up happening here, folks?
So he's standing, Megabyte's standing in his cage, and he's just like, so I'm not going to be deleted? And Bob's like, no, just a simple scan. Because they talk about the whole Bob wants to reprogram Megabyte because it's like, it's not your fault you're evil, you're programmed this way. So it's going to be my duty to reprogram you to be not viral. And Megabyte's like, I won't be a virus anymore? Wow, a fate worse than deletion.
A fate worse than deletion.
And then that gives Bob a look like, really? And you had mentioned when we watched it, Siege, ethics. Like,
Yeah, because Megabyte is like, and they call me the monster. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wow, this is actually like, I'm like, ReBoot is actually, in its final episode, is starting to ask some like Star Trek level of like moral and ethical, like trying to raise like moral and ethical questions about like what to do with the virus.
Now with hexadecimal, it was almost like medicine or
She needs to take her meds.
she's
She's not inherently bad. She needs to be on her meds to be okay.
be stable.
And when she was when she was a sprite, she was still her. She's like, oh, I don't have my powers, but like she was her.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's kind of the funny thing, like whether some people when they feel like they're on their meds, it's like, oh, I'm less smart or I'm slower or I'm not as creative or like whatever. So like I really liked that whole part. And so I try to think about it here, but if he doesn't want it and he likes who he is, but like, what would he be like as a Binome? Because he wouldn't just be like, would he just be depressed? Would he be like, oh, I can't leap like over tall buildings in a single bound? I can't slash out the corners of pillars during a fight?
I can't inject nanobot tubes into people and
worst of all,
no! I don't have this mega cock anymore. Now it is only a sprite's dick.
Is it even worth living? But so I kind of do want to see this, but all of these things where I'm like, oh, this, oh, interesting. Oh, they caught him. And all of this is happening. And then I'm like, all right, episode 9. Wait, I almost like messaged Christopher to be like, is this a 2-parter? And I'm like, only part of it is available, or, and then I like kind of Googled it and I was like,
you're like the third movie. Where is it? Then you're like, oh, this is the end of the episode? What?
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 And
Now that's a too much Energon joke right there.
Yeah. So what happens here? They find out that the one that they have, because they're scanning it, and it's like, huh, that doesn't make any sense. There's no code here.
Yeah, there's
and
no
Matrix
code there.
goes in and kind of roughs him up. Where is he?
Yeah, because
And,
they
like,
deduce that
smacks
he's an
him around.
alias. That the Megabyte,
Which I guess is just like a hologram?
something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
And a hologram you can punch.
That must have been satisfying. Like slamming his head into the wall and then like punching him apart until he like...
Yeah, he's not exactly a hologram. Well, he's a hologram in the Star Trek holodeck sense, in that he is like solid mass.
Right.
Kind of. But he's like a projection of some sort.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's cool. Like every time like Matrix punches him or like slams his head into the wall, like
He kind of phases
cubes.
into the wall a bit and cubes and
yeah, like pixels essentially fly away.
great animation and great fight scenes.
Yeah.
I agree. But actually, I wanted to bring up, even before we got to seeing Megabyte in his little jail cell and stuff, he's actually trying to deduce where the gateway is. And he's like, ooh, is it in the archives? No, someplace even better. It's in the core room. And there's an actual panorama of the gateway on this stage with 6 other portals around it.
Oh.
Yeah, so I even just noticed this today, and I've only watched this episode a handful of times, but it's like, we're setting ourselves up here for a little something something. So
a little something something. Wait until they find the dark web.
Yeah.
Well, and of course it's in the core room, because where the fuck else would it be in this show?
Yeah.
So speaking of the war room, like we cut back to everyone celebrating with hot chocolate and hanging out and around and stuff, and Mouse is already saying her goodbyes to Dot, and it's like, if you ever need a bridesmaid, sugar, I'll come crawling back.
So Mouse is
Right,
about
because
to fuck
she's
off.
like, she's about to fuck off, and it's like, well, wait, why? And she's like, no, like you said, like, hey, just call me and I'll be around. And that's kind of how Mouse was early on in the first couple seasons. But like, it's felt like she spent years in Mainframe.
I feel like she didn't really want to, but I think she and Dot finally built that rapport between the two of them that she would feel guilty if she pieced out, like during the middle of a battle or something like that. But now that they're seeing that resolution happening, supposedly,
And there's
it's
peace and
yeah, there's a safe point for her to peace out.
okay. It's just weird because she feels like a mainframer now.
It's getting too hot in the kitchen here, sugar. I'm out.
Not enough bobs to go around, honey. That's a good point. Now, so when like fake Bob and Ray Tracer came through the portal, they came through together. That means
So he's somewhere, presumably.
and
We don't see
maybe also a virus.
him.
Like that wasn't really Ray Tracer.
Could be.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah, good point.
Unless Megabyte like found Ray Tracer and Ray Tracer was like, Bob, but like Ray Tracer, but Megabyte didn't know who Ray Tracer was. Like they've never met. So I'm feeling like that Ray Tracer was another virus.
Man, you're that guardian Bob we've been looking for, see?
Oh, what? You want a portal back to mainframe? I can help you with that, mate. Hop on. And he's like, do I know you? Like masquerading as Bob. And he's like,
no.
What, did you hit your head? Here, let me not ask any questions and fill you in on everything. No, he's still in the background, like vid window bombing, assuredly.
Not saying anything because they couldn't get Mel Gibson's brother to come back.
Or is it because he's a virus and he doesn't want to blow his cover?
These questions and more will not be answered in the third movie of season 4 of ReBoot.
Yeah, unfortunately. So what happens here? Bob's telling them through a vid window, hey, we don't have him. We never had him. It was an alias.
And
He's probably in the principal office.
He's probably in the war room with you. It's one of you guys.
It could be you or you or you.
I found this pair of long johns. They're ripped out. They're ripped out the back. They have child's name on them.
Kind of suspicious. And you know what? I found like bloody rags and like tooth fillings in the showers.
And someone completely smashed all of our like fresh blood supply.
And the radios have been destroyed. Okay, enough of enough just quoting summarizing scenes from The Thing. What happens here? Our favorite scene where it's like and it like kind of like freeze cuts
to all the derp faces.
So good.
Right.
And then we land on Frisket.
Speaking of The Thing,
the fucking derp faces, yeah.
And by the way, it's not like slow motion or whatever. There's just like eerie music playing, and like they're completely frozen. But when it stops, Andrea's face. When it stops, Enzo's is pretty good too. When it stops on Frisket, it leaves the time freeze, and then almost like the dog scene from The Thing, he kind of goes. And like opens his
starts
mouth.
Like shaking and opening his mouth, and like tentacles start like flailing around,
and it just morphs into Megabyte,
and you just hear it go like See, at this point I was talking about like making the Peter Gunn theme like the music at the end of this episode, but now I kind of feel like it should just be like dung 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 dung.
That makes sense.
Dung dung.
Because
if anyone listening has seen The Thing, you know what I'm talking about.
This episode is very The Thing-esque. The Thing for kids, right? Like they're not consumed and like turned into like Cthulhian horrors.
Yeah.
Right. Man, back when I didn't even know what body horror was.
I'll have you know that I saw The Fly. David Cronenberg's remake, 86 remake of The Fly, when I was probably about 4 or 5 years old.
I was like 10, and I actually did see it before The Thing, now that you mention it. And man, that fucked me up.
Yeah, that shit gave me nightmares.
Have fun sleeping after that.
Yeah. I in general like was pretty good about being able to watch like horror movies and shit like that when I was a little kid, but like The Fly gave me nightmares.
It's freaky, and we get little vibes, little dog, The Thing vibes, like I said, and I was almost expecting like Megabyte's like steel tentacle Borg things to come out of his mouth and go.
Yeah.
I would have been like, okay, I'm out.
And Matrix just shows up with like a flamethrower and just like starts blasting him.
That, you know what? I would have been so happy with that. And that's how Megabyte dies. And like that's it. That's the ending to this. Like I said, we're writing season 5. It writes itself.
Seemingly that's the ending, but there's like a like post-credit scene where it like fades to black and then like fades back in. And there's like I don't know, like there's like a like garbage truck Binome who is like hauling like rummage and like loading it into the truck, and he just happens upon the like the remains of like Megabyte,
like an arm
or something. Yeah. And then like the camera, he like kind of leans in and like grabs it to like throw it into the truck, and like the camera like pans away, and you just hear like, I don't know, like tentacle like sounds like.
I like it.
And then it cuts back to like the door of the garbage truck opening, and the garbage truck Binome with like a blank stare on his face just like climbs into the driver's seat and shuts the door, like staring forward, and then you just hear dung dung dung
dung dung
dung dung.
I dig it. See, like
again,
more than ever, we're writing season 5. Really, at this point, we might as well.
Yeah. We could just do like we can continue on the podcast just doing like reviews of like fake episodes that don't exist.
And then someone's
like
going to
that
stumble
idea.
upon it and think, oh my god, they actually did do the rest of season 4?
Yeah, it could be a weird experiment in fan fiction.
I like that. Let's come back to that because
Let's put that in the maybe pile,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, but what happens? Mega Frisket like tentacles and do actually reach out and infect at this point as Megabyte infect some CPUs.
Yeah.
And then
So he's zombifying people.
And then Dot is looking at Enzo because Enzo's still down there in the pit. And it's like, Enzo, no! And Hack and Slash are like dragging her away.
Yeah.
Time to go, boss.
And there's something to do with Mouse. Like Dot tries to get back in, and then like Mouse like drags her out.
Mouse slashes some of these, but I guess those little like Borg infection tentacles, she slashes at them, and then she turns with Andrea to run out, probably not expecting Megabyte to have healed them or like shot new ones at her or something so fast, and they turn around acting as if, oh, like I thought I just dealt with that, and it seems like they're going to get hit and seemingly infected.
But Fong takes a bullet for them.
I love the slow motion. No, and Fong kind of does jumps in front of the bullet for the president.
So Fong does the Kevin Costner in The Bodyguard.
Yeah, and indeed,
actual shot from that movie. I don't know if you've ever seen The Bodyguard with Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston, but
that's what that's from.
There was a shot where someone like tries to. She's a singer, and someone tries to like shoot her on stage, and there's a shot near the end of the movie where he actually like leaps in front of her and gets shot in the torso. Yeah. Sometimes
jumping just blocks the target for like a split second. I have a feeling just running and stopping in front of them would block more bullets, but that's just me, man.
That's not nearly as dramatic.
It's not as dramatic.
It's not as dramatic, but
you're cool.
And you're especially cool because you were able to time that jump perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
That's true, but what was it, 22 Jump Street or something, where there's a missed time to jump? It's like, what the hell were you doing? I was trying to jump in front of the bullet for you. What happens? Wellman Matrix
carries Enzo out like a football.
And but he does get infected?
He does get infected, yeah.
So Wellman, Fong, and some CPUs are infected?
Yeah, all them binomes. But it's funny, though, because Megabyte goes after the binomes first, before he goes after the other sprites.
For dramatic storytelling purposes.
Probably because the binomes are more incidental characters, whereas the sprites are the main cast.
Mm-hmm. So we cut to Hack and Slash dragging Dot down the hall, and she's trying to tell him, like, guys, stop! And Hack and Slash start freaking out. It's like, what's the plan?
We need a plan.
It's like, shut up and let me think!
Yeah, she yells at him and tells him to shut up.
I thought it was beautiful.
And then we hit like a Doom, like POV, like a first person POV, as Mouse is trying to hack some pad, and we get like the POV of Andrea like whipping around, looking through corridors with her trident out, and I'm like, what's with this like first person shooter like view?
Andrea has Mouse's 6. It's great.
Yeah. It's a show and she's very wary and like looking around, but I'm like, I dig that. They should show more like first person shooter shots like that.
Hey man, Medal of Honor was really hype at this point.
Yeah, this is Medal of Honor era, 2001.
Yeah, totally. Medal of Honor, Allied.
And so what happens here? Mouse can't hack something?
No.
What?
Access denied. And then we cut to Matrix and
I guess
Bob
it's the first time
together.
for everything.
Right? And Andrea just kind of has that look on her face like, you can't hack? Like, what's going on here? Like, holy shit.
Get good, bitch.
And she's like, do you know the shit I've done for Mainframe?
And then we get
Oh,
Matrix.
there's tentacles everywhere
Oh yeah.
in the principal office. Like
Yep.
they're coming out of the console and
It's kind of
Borg.
like it's like an overrun plant. It's like Little Shop of Horrors or some shit.
Yeah,
It's like a kudzu plant.
But there's kind of an interesting speech at the very end here, because Megabyte is like, "Oh, you're probably expecting some grand erudite speech from me. Sorry to disappoint you."
But this is about revenge. You see, viruses are predatory by nature.
Viruses are predatory by nature. And instead of just, taking off, it's time for a hunt. Oh, I'm gonna hunt you. You seen that episode of Beast Wars with the hunt?
We're gonna have our own hunt.
We're gonna have our own.
If Megatron can do it, then so can I, damn it. Hack, slash, grab me my safari hat.
We don't work for you no more. Yeah, what he said. Hack, slash.
I said
And-
safari hat.
Now,
You pieces of shit.
right away, boss. Yeah, one safari hat coming up. And that's how the episode more or less.
Yeah. We're going on a safari. The Simpsons are going on a safari.
Yeah, so the episode ends with Megabyte in a safari hat with a big elephant gun, driving off in a camouflage Jeep with Specky in the driver's seat.
Yep. Like, prepare for the hunt.
Prepare for the hunt.
Black.
Viral binomes
Pip,
are like
pip.
banging like
War drums
War
in the
drums.
backseat.
Well, yeah, that was the final episode of Reboot, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen.
Shit.
It's true.
We got here.
We did it.
We did
the
it.
thing.
Crouching Binome Hidden Virus.
Took a year and a half, but we did it.
Well, without any more procrastination, here on Alphanumeric we have a rating system. It is a 4-tier rating system, and from worst to best, it goes: this is bad, very bad. I don't think so. That was easy enough. And Alphanumeric. Siege. What are you going to give, not judging it based on its title, what are you going to rate Crouching Binome Hidden Virus?
I am going to give this one. That was easy enough. I think all the bullshit that we made up about the episode was more interesting than the actual episode. It's not bad. It's just like it's kind of following up. Like it's following up last week's episode, which was fucking great and the best episode of season 4. So it was a tough act to follow, and I don't think it gets there.
That's fair. So even as a standalone, because it relies on the previous episode establishing so much, and because it doesn't resolve too much, it doesn't quite get there.
Doesn't quite get there. And remember, this is essentially just the last like 22 minutes of a hour and a half long movie in
Fair.
Canada, and that's how I watched it. But
How I watched it was on Shout Factory for the first time today.
there was stuff I liked. I like Megabyte going around being basically the Borg Queen.
Yeah.
The Borg Queen meets the Thing.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there's a lot to like, but
it also weirdly
it feels like a half episode, right? Like with another chunk, this could have been really, really good, but
there's also weirdly, like, even though there's a lot going on, there also like there's a lot of meandering in the plot.
Back and forth, they go to find Dot's sitting on a bench, they talk for 5 minutes, they go back to the principal office. That Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Like they, if they had cut the fat of the episode
Yeah,
a little
lot
bit,
of,
and
it's a lot of buildup.
it's a lot of build up, and a lot of it is good though. I like all the I like the little the viral protesters and their MAGA meeting at Al's Diner.
So before we get to your rating though, Cal,
Oh?
so mine was that was easy enough. Lady
Yeah.
Glitch.
Okay.
Yeah, Lady Glitch.
I'm gonna have to echo you and also say that was easy enough, but I'm more of a high that was easy enough. There were a lot of aspects of this episode that I really did enjoy, like the animation and the fight scenes was pretty wicked. Mike the TV was like undoubtedly just hilarious in this episode. Like he made some...
You mean Megabyte?
No, like actual Mike the TV before he became Megabyte. Like when he was trapped in his jail cell, like when they had Megabyte in the other jail cell, they pan over to him and it's like, does this mean I could go now?
I think that's his only line in this episode. Because this whole episode before it pans to him in the prison was Megabyte.
You're right. It is Megabyte. But
yeah,
still,
so Megabyte's funny. He's got a sense of humor.
Yeah, Megabyte the TV, yes. Because he makes a reference to like, is that your wife, Mr. Norton? Is that your pussy, Mrs. Norton?
Yeah, can you guys...
Yeah, we have it.
I wasn't hearing things.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
What is that?
It's a reference to the BBC television series Are You Being Served?
Are You Being Served?
And,
yeah.
Oh, it's Are You Being Served?
Are You Being Served? A show that I never watched, but I remember YTV in the early 90s always showing reruns of.
It's one of those where I would always be like, what is this? Oh, it's not like British. Man, Canadian kids, they can't watch that.
Yeah.
No,
so I always caught a few minutes of it and then
Yeah.
remembered I didn't like it and then changed the channel.
Yeah, I would start watching it for like maybe 2 minutes and be like, this is boring. And then I would watch something else.
Yeah. And the other part that I particularly have a soft spot for was that Tony J got the last words in this episode because he passed away in like 2006.
Rest in peace, good sir.
Yep, rip in peace. So, yeah, I'm going to stay with that was...
Rest in power, Tony J.
That's right. Yeah.
The most powerful baritone voice that we have in media.
The elder god from Legacy of Kain himself.
And Frollo from Hunchback.
And Mortanius in the first Legacy of Kain game.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
He was the voice of Mortanius in Blood Omen, and then in Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver Onward, he was the voice of the Elder God. So there was this big like fan theory for a while that like Mortanius was the Elder God, or Mortanius was actually like some kind of vessel for the Elder God, and because that series dealt with like time travel shenanigans, that like maybe the Elder God was like Mortanius from like far off into the future, like when he becomes omniscient. But then they brought Mortanius back for the fifth and final game, and then they just recast the role.
So it was just they wanted to use the same voice actor.
Completely like squashing all of those fan theories about any link between the two characters. But yeah, anyway, that's for me. Tony J is not just Megabyte, but he is also the Elder God from Legacy of Kain. But anyway, so you're going with...
that was easy enough.
Yeah.
Your turn, Cal.
Oh, I like so much of it, but like it doesn't quite... I'm trying to be like, without just making fun of it, how much do I like it? Because listeners, if you've skipped some episodes because we've rated them bad, some of the funniest ones are the ones that we don't really want to talk about that much because they're bad, and then we just end up making jokes or like filling in the gaps or making our own story, and it's hard for me to separate like
I will say this is going to be a very long episode of Alphanumeric.
I'm gonna give it same. It's just there's some secret spice missing, so it gets that was easy enough.
It didn't get the allspice.
It did not get the allspice.
Or the Old Spice.
Or the allspark. And there you have it, folks. It sounds like it's unanimous. That was easy enough.
Yep.
Close, but no cigar.
Huge unanimous.
Huge unanimous. Magnanimous. Magnanimous. There's a real word in there somewhere, I'm sure.
Magnumonium.
Magnumonium.
Magnumonium XXL.
Magnumonium XXL.
Magnum Mysterium.
Mysterium.
Yeah.
Ignis fatuus.
Yeah, so
Speaking
we're going
of legacy
crazy
game.
here.
We are going crazy. All right, that was episode 51 of Alphanumeric. Best way to support the show, go to Patreon. I mentioned it earlier. Patreon.com/lasercomb. Starting at the $5 and up tier, you get hours each and every week of bonus preamble audio of this and all the shows we do week in and week out. You also get a monthly-ish commentary track, and you get a new show, which is kind of a spin-off of the preamble called What Are You Watching? Where we just kind of talk about movies and TV shows that we watch week in and week out. Me and Lady Glitch this weekend are going on a trip, and we're on this trip, on this fantastic voyage, if you will. We're going to be going to see the Batman movie. So I was thinking we could, once we get back from our travels, we could record a special episode together of What Are You Watching, where we go full spoilerific on our thoughts of the Batman movie.
I like it.
So yeah, you get all of that at the $5 and up tier. At the $10 tier, as I mentioned earlier, me and Cal's The Lasercomb podcast, where we review random episodes of TV shows. $10 patrons get to pick a show for us to do that about. And you also get our, also as I mentioned earlier, our weekly news and current events show, Lasercomb Tonight. So go to patreon.com/lasercomb. Social media, go to facebook.com/lasercomb, or on Twitter, you can follow me. I am at Lasercomb, or you can follow the show proper at Alphanumeric Pod. Lady Glitch, what are you at?
I'm at Lady Glitch 619.
And Cal, what are you at?
NeoCal, NEO_KAL, not neovirals. I don't associate with them. I do not hearken the return of Megabyte to mainframe.
We don't negotiate with terrorists.
Absolutely not. We run them down with the Blues Brothers.
Well, that was the final episode of ReBoot, so you might think that, well, podcast over, but no sirree, Bob. No sirree, Dot, even.
No sirree, Enzo?
No, we're taking next week off, and we're going to be back in a couple of weeks here with episode 52 of Alphanumeric. We're going to be talking about the show kind of in broad strokes, and we're also going to be putting out a call to action for your listener questions. This is going to be I'm aiming for this to be a very interactive episode, so send some shit in, and send us questions in on social media, on Twitter, Facebook. Send an email to me, Christopher Siege, at outlook.com. And we will read any and all questions on the air on that episode. We did a Q&A episode before, but it was fun, so let's do it again. Why not? Providing all the stars align too, we're gonna have a guest host on that episode, which I'm really excited about. So keep an eye out for that. A couple weeks from now. I think that about does it. So until then, I have been the Siege, the artist formerly known as the Siege.
Thank you.
Here we go. And I am your hostess with the mostest, Lady Glitch.
And I'm also here, NeoCal. Hello and goodbye.
And until next time...
I don't think so. I mean, I intend to find out? Yeah.
I come from the net.
I come in the net.
Yeah, you do.
I come because of the net.
Through systems, peoples, and cities.
In systems.
In peoples and cities. Pouching a bow wow. Wearing a Trojan Magnum XXL.
The blue ones.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.